was inspired to create Little Herberts because my youngest boy, I've got two, my youngest boy, when he was a toddler, was that anxious child. And it was always so difficult to get him to have a haircut. And we tried everywhere. We did female salons and barbers and kids' hair salons, and nothing really seemed to work with him. And I just came upon the idea that I would have to come up with something that did work. And essentially, that was the thinking, the original thinking behind the idea. So coming up with the name Little Herberts was a bit of a no-brainer for me. My youngest is called Herbie.
Little Herberts is named after me because my name is Herbie, everybody's.
And obviously Little being, focused around kids. But the actual real reason, the real thinking behind the name Little Herberts comes from an expression that I grew up with as a kid. And when I launched the business and I was talking to my lovely Australian customers, no one really knew what I was talking about. And most people do think that it's because my youngest is called Herbie. So the story behind the name Little Herberts comes from, I did some research around this. I'm like, what do you mean you've never heard of it before? So I did some research around it, and it transpires that it's very much an English expression. It actually comes from Victorian times, and you are referring to, when you call a kid, it's actually a scruffy little Herbert. So when you're calling kids scruffy little Herberts, it's a term of endearment. It's referring to cheeky little chappies, cheeky little urchins that have been playing outside, and they are grubby and they're scruffy and they're dirty and they've got mud on their face or covered in chocolate or whatever. But they epitomise having so much fun and living life to the full. And then they come in from outside playing and they are just covered from head to toe and they're scruffy. So the idea is that they come in as scruffy little Herberts. And we do all the lovely haircuts and hairstyles, and they walk out and they look $1 million. And my dad still calls the grandkids little Herberts. You've got to say it with like a little Cockney accent, and you don't pronounce the H, so it's a little Herbert. And that really is the real meaning behind the name. What sets us apart with regards to helping those children that have anxiety around getting haircuts is that we understand. I have been that parent. And what we've attempted to do here, or what we do attempt to do here, is put everybody at their ease. So we don't want the parents to feel stressed or anxious themselves, because the children feed off of that anxiety, and it's a bit of a catch-22. So if we can make the mums and dads feel okay in the space, that definitely helps making the children feel that it's okay to be in the space. So we have quite a calm space. It's a bookings only salon. So we don't have, a shop full of people all sitting there waiting 20 minutes, half an hour for their haircuts. They have their booking made and they have their time slot. We have a couple of options that people can book. And we've got an appointment which we call an anxious haircut appointment. And then we've got, which is a 30-minute appointment. That gives us plenty of time to let the kids feel familiar in the space. We've got some toys that they can play with. They can kind of wander around and get used to the space, and we sit and we chat and we kind of play with them and engage with them. And that seems to kind of put them at their ease. We offer them the opportunity to sit in one of the, the pink aeroplane or the racing car or the superhero chair. We've got iPads with shows that they can choose to watch if they're so inclined, and if that's the thing that makes them feel comfortable, then great. But more often than not, we end up just cutting the kids' hair where they're playing. Or they might just want to sit with mum or dad and have cuddles and feel safe in that environment, and we'll work with them doing that as well. We're fortunate that we have some amazing hairdressers that work for us, and they are super fast and super quick, which definitely helps in that situation. And at the end, they get a little treat, they get a little bag of popcorn, and they get a little toy to choose to take home. And it's those things that will help get the children over the line. You know, we've got kids that wouldn't even walk through the door, and within the last year, they're now giving us high fives and loving what we do. They hug the girls, the hairdressers, you know, when they're finished, because they just love it. And it's just such a lovely thing to see. And like I say, it just comes from my personal experiences and wanting to create something where people just felt safe in that space. There is so much that I love about this business, and everything that we do day in, day out. You know, even tidying up and sweeping up the floor, you know, I'll happily do that. Quite happy to do that. But the one thing that I love most, which has actually kind of taken me a little bit by surprise, really, and I don't know why, but it's the relationships and the friendships and the real sense of community that all of us get from being in this space. The people that I didn't know from Adam 18 months ago, those people that came in when we very first opened and were a bit unsure as to what we were and what we were about, still bring their children in every 6 or 8 weeks, or every 3 or 4 months if it's a girl's haircut, and getting to know them, getting to know the kids, seeing those anxious kids now not being anxious and walking in and loving everything about, and refusing to go to another hair salon, having real connections with the mums, and I've made some really beautiful friendships with so many people, and we have lovely chats, and it's great. And that, for me, I think is one of the biggest takeaways from all of this. There have just been a few occasions where I have really questioned my sanity, especially in those early few months. And it's only been, I guess, my self-belief and the support that I've had from my immediate family, my husband, and the support that I've had from, again, the amazing community that have come out to support this small business. And I really, really felt that when COVID hit. So we were just over a year old when COVID hit, and we had to shut the shop down. When the government said you might not want to send your kids to school, we just felt like we couldn't continue. So we closed the shop down, and we didn't know how long we were going to be out of business. And I had so many messages, phone calls and emails and text messages from our community, and people wishing us the best and hoping that we would come back, and if there was anything that they could do, could they buy gift vouchers, and could they do this and could they do that. And that was amazing. And at the time, I genuinely didn't know if that was going to be the case. Cut a long story short, we opened 5 weeks later when the kids went back to school, and we opened our doors the day before the kids went back to school, and we did a 10-hour shift that day. And people came, and more people came, and we have just got busier and busier and busier, and it's just been amazing. So questioning my sanity back in the day was probably a good thing, and everyone probably has to go through those kinds of things, that self-doubt, but it's been worth it, and we've come out at the other end, and long may that continue. What I'd really like to achieve with Little Herberts is to build a brand that people fall in love with, a trustworthy brand, a brand that they feel connected to, and that is precious to them. Something that is of the best quality. If I picture Little Herberts in 3 or 5 or 10 years from now, I mean, the world is our oyster, And if I'm thinking big, I'm going to go Little Herberts, south of the river, north of the river, and interstate. Let's go. Let's set up a Little Herberts in Byron Bay. And then let's go. I'd really love to be able to build this business up and then maybe one day even see it back home in the UK. That would be amazing. That, and I would really love to develop the product development side of the business. We've got some bits and pieces that are going to be coming out over the next couple of months. And I'm looking over the next 18 months or so to really focus in on that aspect of the business so that we can stock and sell the best quality products that we can bring to market, specifically designed with our customers and with the kids in mind. So yeah, thinking big, that's where I want to go with it. You just never know what's around the corner, right? Opening Little Herberts has been a whirlwind. It's been amazing. It's also been scary. It's been a real roller coaster, ups and downs, and I'm sure that we've got more to come. But I love it so much, and I can't wait for what's around the corner for the next year, the next couple of years. Yeah, bring it on.